Are any of you guys interested in photography? A little bit? Are any of you guys interested in business? Think you might want to minor in that? Yeah? I really highly recommend it.
You should all minor in business.
Definitely do it. Were you a minor also?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I highly recommend it. So that was one of the factors that really solidified my choice to come here, is that they had a great photography and art department, and they also had a great business school, so I could get the best of both worlds here. So I own my photography business called Lynn Purnell Photography, based in Jersey City, New Jersey, and I specialize in weddings, events, and portraits. But when I first came to Montclair, I was actually mostly interested, oh yeah, that's Megan! I was interested mostly in fashion and beauty photography.
And
So that's what,
right? Vicky Letzo?
yeah!
You know her?
Yeah!
Illustration, graphic design, photography, we all work
Yeah,
together.
we're all friends with each other and we use each other as models, props, you know, yeah, it's a nice community. Yeah, so that's what most of my projects for classes were based around fashion and stuff like that. So in my sophomore year, I decided on a whim to apply for an internship at one of my favorite fashion magazines, Harper's Bazaar in New York City, and I got the interview and I ended up getting the internship. The following semester, the director of photography at Allure magazine had heard about me, knew that I interned at Harper's Bazaar. They were really happy with me there. So she actually reached out to me to ask me if I would intern for her. So that just goes to show how important networking is and nurturing those professional relationships. That internship, or both internships, turned out to be a really incredible experience. I learned all about the behind the scenes of what it takes to create those pictures you see in magazines. I learned tons of administrative knowledge. I got lots of experience using industry software, so InDesign, Photoshop, all of that stuff. I also learned how to conduct myself in the professional corporate world, which is actually really interesting now. I'm an entrepreneur, I don't work in the corporate world like that, so this is kind of like, I got to have a taste of it at least, so when all my friends are talking about interviews and all that stuff, I can relate. And I got to sit in on meetings with the editors-in-chief of the magazines. And my favorite part, I got to assist on photo shoots with some of my favorite fashion photographers. So not only was it a great experience, but I also was able to get college credit for each internship. So I got 3 independent study credits for each of them. And because I lived on campus, it was super easy to commute in and out of the city. I lived in Freeman Hall the first 2 years and the Village the last 2 years. So it was super easy to just hop on a DeCamp bus or the NJ Transit train and commute in and out of the city. And I was still able to keep up 15 credits of classes during those internships. So things shifted a little bit in 2011 when I shot my first wedding. After I shot that wedding, something clicked. I realized that I loved shooting weddings. So I realized that weddings combined all these different areas of photography that I loved. So when you're shooting a wedding, there's a really big photojournalistic aspect, so you always have to be ready to capture all types of reactions and emotions. Anytime there's tears, you gotta capture it. All of the fun, candid moments, and all of the sentimental moments. There's also a big still life component when you're shooting weddings. So a wedding day involves a lot of little details, and every detail is important to the couple. So a general rule of thumb that we say in the industry is if they spent time or money on it, it's your job to capture it and eternalize it for them. So things like the bouquet, the ring, any stationery, paper goods, invitations, menus, centerpieces, cologne, and shoes. So coincidentally enough, there actually is also a big fashion and beauty aspect when you're shooting a wedding. If you think about it, your ultimate goal as their photographer is to make the bride and groom feel like they could be models in a magazine. So I was able to incorporate a lot of what I learned in fashion and beauty to my weddings. So things like how to pose the couple, how to find the most flattering light for the subject, how to interact with the subjects, and how to bring out their personalities and make them feel comfortable in front of the camera. So in 2013, I was a junior in college. I was taking Klaus Schnitzer's commercial photography class, which is my favorite class here. And we got to go on studio visits. We got to hear from photographers who had their own businesses. And after hearing all that, it just totally solidified it in my mind that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have my own business. So I decided I didn't want to wait any longer. I didn't even wait for the semester to finish. That April, I decided to start my LLC, and I've had my business ever since. So since then, I've shot over 100 weddings, and my business just turned 5 years old. And actually, this month of the year is my busiest month the entire year for some reason. October is the most popular wedding month. I'm shooting 8 weddings this month, 3 this weekend alone. So later today I'm going to be shooting a wedding. Very busy time of year. And what's really nice is that I've been able to photograph tons of different styles and cultures of weddings. I've witnessed so many different traditions. Every wedding is different from the last. And in addition to weddings, I also shoot proposals, which is becoming like a big trend nowadays to hire a secret photographer to capture the actual proposal, so that's really fun. And I also have a small studio in part of my condo where I can shoot things like headshots, portraits, and baby portraits. I also shoot a bunch of other events, so baby showers, bridal showers, parties, all kinds of events. And living so close to New York City, I go in there all the time for things like corporate events, fundraisers, red carpet events. I got to shoot a couple small celebrities, so Ruben Studdard from American Idol a long time ago, Eliza Dushku from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Bring It On, and model Christy Turlington and actress Meryl Streep. So my latest business venture was actually last year. I started an educational branch to my business where I teach workshops and courses to photographers and business owners of all levels. So I have online courses, in-person workshops. I have a ton of free resources and webinars on my website, talking all about the nitty-gritty of what it goes into running your own photography business. So my advice to you guys is to make your college curriculum custom to you. So I know that there's that list of requirements that you have to take for your major, but when it comes to picking your electives, try taking classes outside of your major or concentration. So for instance, I was a photography concentration, but I took screen printing, book arts, paper making, drawing, all these really interesting classes that I wouldn't have had an opportunity to take otherwise. You never know, you might discover you have a hidden talent or interest for something. And also try to take classes that you think could complement your career down the line. So for instance, there was a class I heard of called Services Marketing, my senior year, which I thought sounded totally relevant to what I would need to know now that I had my own business and had to market myself. But it was only offered for business majors. But all I had to do was ask my advisor and the professor of the class, and they were more than happy to let me in. So the wider your area of expertise is, the more it'll boost your resume, and that'll set you apart from others when you go to apply for jobs. So what's really nice about going to a liberal arts university rather than just an art school is that you can get a well-rounded education here. So in addition to art classes, you can take psychology, business, math, science, whatever you're interested in. And if you have a passion for another area, I highly recommend you add a minor. And if you don't have time for the full minor, just try to take little classes here and there to kind of broaden your horizons. And like I said, internships and experience are so valuable. Use your time here in college to build your portfolio, network, and resume. And if you have an idol that you would love to work with, just try reaching out to them. You never know what they might say. Chances are they'll probably say yes. Everyone, even people who are high up in their careers, love help, and it feels really good to be able to mentor someone who's at a lower level. It feels really rewarding. So that's pretty much it. That's my Instagram handle, Facebook, all social media is that handle, and the top one's my photography website, and the bottom is my education website.